What's up, guys? This is gonna this is gonna kind of be a weird video, but I really don't know where to get MCU hot takes from. Like, I don't know which community to ask MCU hot takes from. So instead, I am going to be kind of it's gonna be like a like a co-host video, kinda. Except I'm not actually there with him, but I'm gonna be watching Sean Chandler's. He's reacting to MCU hot takes. He's gonna be reading hot takes. He's gonna give his opinion. I'm not really gonna let him share his opinion on video. I'll listen to it, but I'm not actually gonna put that in the video. I'll be giving my hot takes to it. Like, I'm gonna be reacting to their hot takes, and I'm gonna give my opinion of their hot takes. So let's do it. First one: No Way Home sucks. No, it doesn't. It does not. No Way Home is actually rose up to my number one Marvel movie of all time. It surpassed Infinity War and it surpassed Endgame. I know, right? I don't know. It's just something about No Way Home. No Way Home is just so good. The whole movie's good in general, but when it gets past that, I'm speaking from the extended cut type of view. After it gets past the hour and 35-minute mark, that movie is just perfect. After the hour and 35-minute mark, whole movie is just perfect. Flawless. And I don't know, I'm a sucker for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I never thought we'd see the day that Tobey Maguire comes back as Spider-Man. Like, I never thought he'd come back, let alone in the MCU. To me, it's been a year since Spider-Man No Way Home, and I still can't wrap my head around that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man came back in the MCU. Kind of the same with Andrew Garfield. I never thought he'd come back regardless in anything Spider-Man related, considering how Sony kind of treated him after The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But for Tobey's sake, I never thought we would see Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man ever again. And the fact that he came back in the MCU, like, I can watch the MCU now in a rewatch, and now I can enjoy Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man too. Like, I can enjoy him as part of the universe now, and that's just mind blowing. Plus, a Spider-Man movie with Doctor Strange, who is in my top 5 favorite characters, and Daredevil cameos. What more could you ask for? That's like a perfect movie. So, No Way Home does not suck. No Way Home is my number one favorite Marvel movie of all time. Attack me if you want. That's just my opinion. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, second one is Iron Man should have been played by Cher. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Cher. Let's see, who is Cher? The, what? Is there like a is there a male person of this? Cause that's a female. I'm not being sexist or anything. Iron Man played by a female. Is there like a male actor? Male actors. I don't know, man. Cher. This guy. Is he an actor? Nope, still singer. Um Nope, still female. I'm gonna disagree with that because look, Iron Man be played by a female. Nope, still should have been Robert Downey Jr. Um, I don't even agree with Tom Cruise should have played Iron Man. It just wouldn't be the same. He may have done. Oh my God, he may have been able to do a good job with Iron Man, but I can't see Iron Man being played by anyone else, let alone Cher. That's a hard pass. Next one. Captain America Civil War and Thor Ragnarok are bad movies. Also not true. Captain America Civil War is a really, really good movie, and so is Thor Ragnarok. Now, most people say that Thor Ragnarok is bad now because of Thor Love and Thunder. That's not the case with me. Me personally, I don't like Thor Love and Thunder, even though it is directed by Taika Waititi in both movies. However, that doesn't really affect my opinion of Thor Ragnarok because I think Thor Ragnarok is a good movie, and there's a reason why Thor Ragnarok is a better movie than Thor Love and Thunder is. Yes, they're both directed by Taika Waititi, but that's only because like the studio a had a hand on the wheel when Thor Ragnarok was being made because it was leading up to Infinity War. It was leading up to why it's called the Infinity Saga. So both hands were on the wheel. Taika had a hand in it, and so did the studio, and that's why Thor Ragnarok was a pretty good movie. Um, Thor Ragnarok still holds up for me. It's still a pretty good movie to me. I enjoy more of the time on Sakaar than I do on Asgard. I don't know. I enjoy it more, and the humor actually works for me. So, Thor Ragnarok is still a good movie to me. Captain America: Civil War, awesome, awesome movie. What I will say about it though, like it is a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like, so you get Captain America: The First Avenger, obviously a solo Captain America movie. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, very very good movie. This might be a hot take of my own. I think Winter Soldier is better than Civil War, or maybe both at the same level. Winter Soldier maybe just a little bit above Civil War. That's just my opinion. The Winter Soldier is super freaking good. I rewatched it recently. Winter Soldier is so good, just chef's kiss. Civil War though, I get why they needed Captain America: Civil War because it's more like it's kind of a setup movie. It is setting up a lot of movies. It's setting up a Spider-Man solo movie and credit. It's setting up a Black Panther movie and credit. I don't know. It just feels like more of an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie to me, at least. So I don't feel like Captain America got a solid third movie. It is a good movie though, but I just don't feel like Captain America got a solid trilogy because it goes Captain America, Avengers. How's that fair? Iron Man got all three Iron Man movies. Thor got all three Thor movies with the addition of Hulk. But um, yeah, that I don't know. I don't know. But it is still a good movie. I don't think they're bad movies. Civil War is so fucking good. I enjoyed the movie thoroughly. So, are they bad movies? No, they're not. Okay, next hot take. Iron Man 3 is fantastic. The only big thing wrong with it is the Mandarin twist, but that is fixed later. It explores Tony's PTSD in a very interesting way. I love how it uses Tony's real superpowers, his resourcefulness and ingenuity, and it's also just in ingenuity, Colin. Oh my god, it's hard for me to read. And it's also just a really good story, I think. And obviously, RDJ's performance is great. I agree with this because it makes the line in Spider Man Homecoming hit harder. Because remember when he's about to take the suit away from Peter, and Peter says, "I'm nothing without the suit." And Tony says, "If you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it." That's what he had to learn in Iron Man 3. For most of the movie, Iron Man's not really in his, or Tony's not really in his suit. And so that's actually a really good point because it's a lesson to be learned. Iron Man isn't Iron Man. I mean, I guess he is able to control his suit without him having to be in the suit anymore. So, I mean, I guess there's that. But at the same time, Tony's the one that made the suits. The suits wouldn't exist without Tony. So, there's that argument too. So, Iron Man isn't Iron Man. Tony is Iron Man because Iron Man is the one that's in the suits. He's the one that made the suits. And if you think about it, the whole plot of Iron Man 3 is really to get Pepper back from Aldrich Killian. And for most of the movie, that was Tony going on that journey. So I honestly really like Iron Man 3. A big factor may be nostalgia for me because, oh man, those were the good days, man. Those were the good days. With the Mandarin twist, though, I actually like it. I don't know because like I don't get Marvel fans sometimes. They'll be like, "Oh, these Marvel movies are the same. Like do something different." And then they do something different. Trevor Slattery wasn't the Mandarin. Oh, this movie sucks now. I mean, you wanted something different? I mean, doesn't it subvert your expectations? Like that makes it exciting. Like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, exactly. That's like all surprise. Like that's like saying the ending. Like y'all don't like the Mandarin twist, but everyone likes the ending of Infinity War. You didn't see that coming, but you still like it. Granted, it did make a lot of people mad and sad, but that's what it grips them emotionally. The Mandarin twist wasn't an emotional twist, but nonetheless, both of them are a twist. You like the ending of Infinity War, but you don't like the Mandarin twist. So I don't know. That's just my opinion, but Iron Man. I actually like Iron Man 3. If I had to give a ranking for the Iron Man movies, it would go Iron Man 3, and Iron Man 2. So 1, 3, 2. That's my opinion, but yeah, I love Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is a good movie. Although, look, okay, let me be honest, because he reminded me of something. However, don't really like the ending of Iron Man 3 either. It was emotional, but so at the end of the movie, Robert Downey Jr. is like, "Oh, you're more important to me than the missions that I go on. You're more important to me than the suits." So he blows all of his suits up to prove to Pepper that she's more important than his missions. Like no other mission out there is more important than Pepper. Then in Age of Ultron, it's like, well, I'm back. I'm back as Iron Man. But they actually do address that in Civil War. I guess he just couldn't keep up with that promise because in Civil War, he says, a few years ago, uh, I almost lost Pepper and I blew up all my suits, and then we had to mop up Hydra, and then Ultron, my fault. And then he said, and then I never stopped because the truth is, I don't want to stop. I don't want to lose her. So I thought maybe the Accords could split the difference. So I guess they do address it a little bit in Civil War. Anthony and Joe Russo always have to fix everything, but yeah, the ending of Iron Man 3 was so supposed to be a sentimental meaning, and then it just was undone by Age of Ultron. But I guess Civil War kind of fixed it by saying, well, he couldn't exactly keep up with that promise because he is Iron Man. I don't know. It's confusing. It's confusing. Tony doesn't need to like Tony is Iron Man, but he needs to be Iron Man. I don't know, man. It is kind of confusing, but the ending is kind of yeah. I don't think you really had to do that. That's what I was. I'm actually rewatching the Infinity Saga right now. I'm not gonna rewatch everything, but I am rewatching the Infinity Saga. And when I was watching Iron Man 3, I was like, I don't think you really needed to do that. I don't think you really needed to blow up your suits. I don't know. Because then it's kind of undone by Age of Ultron, and they kind of address it in Civil War, but it doesn't fix it fully. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. But we're gonna go on to the next one. Whew. Next one. Edward Norton was the superior Hulk. Maybe he means like the Hulk version of Edward Norton, which, if he's talking about the Hulk version of Edward Norton, hell fucking yeah, I would love to see that Hulk come back in the MCU. Now we were stuck with Smart Hulk. He's not even Hulk anymore, if we're being honest. He's kind of more like enjoyable, I guess, maybe. I don't know. He's not Hulk anymore though. Like, man, what I was really looking forward to when I was predicting Endgame before it came out, I said what I think is gonna. I mean, I got it half right, but what I think is gonna happen is I think Black Widow's gonna die. Bruce is gonna be so hurt by this that eventually they're doing this because of like they're going back in time to get the stones because of what Thanos did in Infinity War. So now because of what Thanos did in Infinity War, it caused them to have to go back in time and get these stones. Black Widow's gonna die. Technically, this is all Thanos' fault. So what I was predicting was Bruce was gonna like get so angry and be so hurt that Black Widow died that Hulk was like the real Hulk was gonna come out and it was gonna be a Thanos versus Hulk round 2 and it was gonna be a great battle. Nope, that didn't happen. That did not happen. It was Smart Hulk throughout the entire movie. Which I don't know, just I guess they didn't do that because then they'd have to do that for Thor. What I was also predicting with Thor was that like Thor was going to come back. He was going to come out of his depression, and then like the lightning was going to engulf him, and he was going to come back all like built and stuff. And maybe that part would be a little bit too unrealistic, but I don't know. In Thor: Love and Thunder, he used lightning and he suddenly changed his outfit, so maybe that wouldn't be too out of left field. But I don't know. If he's talking about Edward Norton being like, it does say the superior Hulk. If we're talking about like Bruce Banner, who is the best between Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo, I probably have to say Mark Ruffalo's the better Bruce Banner because Edward Norton to me as Bruce Banner was so fucking boring. Like that's just my opinion. Like I said, I rewatched The Incredible Hulk recently. Right now, I'm on Thor Ragnarok. Haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. But I mean, I've watched it, but rewatching them, I haven't watched it yet. But I've seen The Incredible Hulk already, and Edward Norton was boring to me as Bruce Banner, but as the Hulk, I want that Hulk back. So if he's saying Edward Norton was the better Hulk, I do agree with that. I want that Hulk back. Ooh man, the Guardians are a better family than the Avengers. Hold on. You know what? I actually agree with that because the Guardians do feel like a family to me, especially coming off of Guardians 3. I just watched that recently. By the end of Guardians 3, I'm like, no, I don't want the family to break up. I want these people to stay together because they all work off each other. I was thinking earlier today, actually, if you think about it, they're such a good family because Star Lord really got all of them into his music. Rocket's always humming his lyrics, Mantis is dancing, and Infinity War, Gamora was even singing along to his lyrics. And then, spoiler alert, but by the end of Guardians 3, Drax was dancing. Groot's always dancing. I don't know so much about Nebula. I don't think she really cares. But I don't know. The Guardians are a better family than the Avengers. The Avengers feel like a team to me. Maybe they are kind of a family, maybe, but I see them more as a very cool team to come together. Maybe in Endgame they're more of a family. Maybe the family that was left in Endgame after the snap, like half of everyone's gone, and the team that had to bring all the rest of them back, maybe they're a family, kind of. But Nebula and Rocket definitely got closer during the blip. That's why in Guardians of the Galaxy, I know there's for the third one more spoilers, but whenever Rocket comes back to life and Nebula hears the news that Rocket's back, she breaks down crying. And that actually makes sense because they had more time during the blip together. So that actually makes sense. So I think the Guardians are a better family than the Avengers. Oh man, this might be getting even more. We're going deeper. The Guardians movies are better than the Avengers movies due to the phenomenal family dynamic, great heart, and amazing soundtrack. Man, that's fucking hard. Um, the Guardians does have a really good soundtrack. All the Guardians movies, I'll give it that. It does have an amazing soundtrack, and the family dynamic is great. The Guardians movies do have really big heart. It gets James Gunn. James Gunn always puts heart into his stories. Do I think the Guardians movies are better than the Avengers movies, though? I think they're both pretty equal, with the Avengers being a little bit above the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not saying the Guardians movies are bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're both pretty equally good, but I like the Avengers movies better than the Guardians movies. But they're both pretty good. They're both pretty good. I think I like the Guardians just as much as the Avengers. The Avengers are epic though. I just love the Avengers movies. They're just so good. But so is the Guardians. So I think they're equally good with Avengers just a little bit above that because oh man, that's a really good question. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Avengers Endgame? God damn it. Um okay, I'll save that one for later, man. I'll ponder on that one. That's not even part of the hot take, so I'm not even gonna go there. I'm just gonna go to the next one. So next one, more Guardians related. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is ultimately what made the MCU mediocre. If you look at all the new characters and even the character development of a lot of characters after Guardians, they're all based after the Guardians. The Guardians of the Galaxy. God damn it.
Ultimately, what made the MCU mediocre.
The Guardians are made to be goofy and stupid. It worked for Guardians, but it's not for the rest. Kind of, kind of. I think there's a lot of characters that stayed the same, and I love the Guardians movies, but you do have to admit James Gunn kind of did curse the MCU because if you look back, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, they had humor in it. But then Guardians of the Galaxy came out and they leaned heavily on humor. It's a comedy. Guardians of the Galaxy is a comedy. All the movies are a comedy. Maybe not so much the third one. They do have its humor, so I would say it's a comedy, but I'd say it's a dark comedy if you ask me. But then after that, I think it, everyone loves the Guardians movies. When the first Guardians movie came out, no one expected that movie to do good. Everyone expected it to flop. So when it actually did do good, I think people at Marvel Studios were like, "Oh yeah, okay, they like that. Let's use that nonstop, constantly." Now there's some movies that still don't do that. Like Moon Knight's not really that funny. There is some comedy in it, but it's overall pretty serious. No Way Home has its comedy, but also pretty serious, especially more towards second half of the movie or maybe in the middle. Um, Avengers Endgame still has this humor. You know what I mean. But then like characters like Thor, oh boy, it worked with Thor Ragnarok, and I feel like Anthony and Drew Rose, Anthony and Joe Russo really balanced out in Infinity War and Endgame the balance between comedy and seriousness between Thor. I think they balanced that out pretty well because literally in Infinity War he goes from saying well, Thanos has never fought me. And then Rocket's like, yeah, he has. And then Thor's like, he's never fought me twice. And then literally, a couple seconds later, he's crying. So I think they found out a really good way to balance out that comedy with seriousness. And then in Endgame, Thor was basically hiding his depression behind his fatness and he was using comedy as a way to hide from that because he was like laughing it off and stuff. So like he was laughing pretty good until Professor Hulk brought up Thanos' name. That's when he like shut that comedy down. So I don't know. I think Taika Waititi was like, "Hey, I can use that. I can see Thor as a funny guy." And if you think about it, Thor was always kind of a dumbass. Like there's a part in the first Thor movie where he's walking in the streets and there's like cars and he stops and like, dumbass, what are you doing? And Thor is just walking in the streets because he doesn't know Earth that well. He doesn't know that you're not. He doesn't know that you're not supposed to just walk in the streets when there's cars coming. He doesn't know that, so it kind of makes him look like a dumbass. But then I think Taika really leaned in that way too hard with Thor: Love and Thunder, and that's what kind of ruined Thor's character. I think he should go back to being serious but in a badass way. Not like in the Shakespearean way that the Thor movies do. I think he should go back to like badass seriousness. Like in Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars, I think he should be like a Viking warrior. I think that's what Thor should be. But it is pretty. I can't deny most of the MCU, especially a lot of Phase Four movies after Guardians movies, leans into comedy a little bit too much. I think the MCU needs to go back to its seriousness. So, do I think the Guardians of the Galaxy cursed the MCU? Yeah, I think it does. They're good movies, and you can't take that away from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. However, I think the MCU leaned a little bit too much into the comedy. I think they should bring back the seriousness a little bit. So, yeah. Could not agree or could not disagree with this more. James Gunn makes horrible movies. That is not true. That is not true. Guardian I'll even rank them maybe just as superhero movies. I don't think I've seen anything not superhero movies of James Gunn, but maybe Brightburn. That's James Gunn kind of, right? I mean, he has a hand in that, I think. Anyway, but Guardians of the Galaxy 1, classic. I love that movie. You can't take that away from me. That's like my comfort movie. I'll be the first to admit it. As much as a big Marvel fan as I am, when I first saw the trailer for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what the hell is this? A talking raccoon, a walking talking tree, a Christmas colored alien, a green alien that a white guy's falling for, and he's in space who's listening to 80s and 90s rock. What the fuck is this? So I'll be the first to admit, didn't really have hope in Guardians of the Galaxy. Then I got it for Christmas in 2014 on Christmas Day, and I watched it on Christmas Day, and I absolutely loved it. Like that was my number one Guardian. That was my number one favorite Marvel movie for a while, all through Christmas break. And that's the only movie I was watching nonstop. So Guardians 1, classic. Guardians 2 kind of fumbles a little bit, but it's still good. I think there's a good story to tell there, and the comedy does overdo it sometimes, but I think it's still a pretty good movie. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, just heartwarming, actually freaking hilarious. I love it. And it manages to make me cry every single time, even though it's kind of new, but whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, watched it twice already, and I fucking love that movie. It's a Guardians 1 and Guardians 3 are kind of like neck and neck fighting for each other because Guardians 3 is so good. It's so good. It is so good. By the end of the movie, I'm like this is one of the only first Marvel movies besides Endgame and maybe Infinity War that I've left the theater still sad and like heartbroken that spoiler alerts that the Guardians have actually broken up. No one died, thank God, but I'm actually like really sad that the Guardians have broken up. Like it makes me sad because Peter's found a family with the Guardians. Now he's back on Earth with his grandpa, and it just makes me think. I wonder if he's thinking about what's Gamora doing right now, or what's Rocket doing right now, and he's away from them. So it's kind of sad. It's like to me, it's just sad that the Guardians broke up. Now with his DC movies, the Suicide Squad, I didn't really like it at first, and I don't know. The ending is still kind of ridiculous with Starro the Conqueror, but that movie grew on me. I actually really like it. It's really funny. It's shot so fucking good, and it's shot so well. Um, but it's a pretty badass movie. Peacemaker, probably better than the Suicide Squad, and possibly maybe even more hilarious. It's kind of boring near the middle-ish, going towards the end, but Peacemaker's good too. But James Gunn does not make bad movies. Now Brightburn, I think he had a hand in that. I don't think he directed that, but I think he had a pretty big hand in that movie. Brightburn was alright, but alright doesn't mean bad. So James Gunn does not make horrible movies or bad movies. I don't know what you're talking about. James Gunn is a very good director. He knows what he's doing. So I don't agree with that. Well, it seems like that's all of them. I might do this more actually, because this was actually pretty fun sharing my thoughts and like my thoughts and my deep thoughts about the MCU and other people's hot takes, whether I agree or disagree. So this was actually pretty fun. Maybe I'll do this more. I'm also going to be doing another ranking soon of the MCU since I've seen more things, and I don't know, my opinions change like every month about these Marvel movies. So I'll be doing another one soon. But for now, I'm out of here. See y'all.